Here to break this all down for us, you saw Niall Stanage there, White House columnist for our partners at The Hill, who was in the briefing, and Alex Thompson, national political correspondent for Axios. I'm so grateful that you both are here. Niall, of course, I have to start with you. You were inside the briefing. You know, it's exhausting as a voter, because today I want to be hearing about inflation. I want to be hearing about Ukraine. If I'm not mistaken, we're sending more aid. I want to be hearing about what's happening in Israel. I want to hear about childcare. I'm a parent. I'm pretty tired of hearing the same thing from the White House press secretary. Are you?
Well, you might be tired of hearing it, but it's kind of the only story in town right now, because obviously if President Biden were to step aside, that would be a massive, massive moment, a historic moment. Now, it is certainly true that the president, and for that matter, the press secretary, would prefer to be talking about other things, to be talking about some of the topics you mentioned. But if you look at those polls that you cited on the screen a few moments ago, Elizabeth, the issue here is really very simple. That debate performance made a significant number of Americans believe the president is not fit for a second term. That is inherently disqualifying, and that's why the White House has been pitched into the crisis that it's in.
You know, Alex, I have been watching your reporting. You have a pulse of people on the inside. And I think, you know, some of us are wondering, do they think it's working? Do they think that we're buying it?
Well, at the moment, like, their bigger problem is actually inside their own White House and their own campaign. That's why you saw Chief of Staff Jeff Zients get on a conference call with all the staff. And I think it's telling about the sort of attitude in the White House that I was able to listen in on that call. You know, I've covered this White House for 3.5 years. I can tell you it has never been easier to get angry quotes from White House officials than it has been the last 72 hours. People in the White House, people that have worked for Joe Biden, are angry. And today was a very belated effort to stop the bleeding internally, because the fact is that Joe Biden had that disastrous debate performance, then did the North Carolina rally, and then was nowhere for several days, except for that one remark Monday evening for 4 minutes. And, you know, he had an Annie Leibovitz photo shoot Sunday with the family. But I can tell you, there were people in the White House, in the campaign, that not only were worried about him just on a personal level, but were like, what is going on? And, you know, I think that, and that you saw them finally acknowledge that damage control today, but we'll see if it's too late.
All right, Niall, I have a list in front of me of the Democratic governors. Some of them are in person with the president. Some of them are there virtually. Quite an extensive list. What's the end game here? Do you meet with governors as pawns, or do you get out in front of the camera and you ad-lib? You don't go with a prompter. You answer reporters' questions. I'm sort of wondering the tactics here.
So in terms of the governors, there is clearly an effort to shore up support, or at least acceptance, among elected Democratic officials, be they governors, senators, or members of the House. We have now had a handful of members who do hold office come out and ask the president to stand aside. That's obviously an issue. As to the other point, Elizabeth, which both you and Alex have raised, the idea of should the president get out and ad-lib, take unscripted questions? Well, theoretically, yes, of course. The risk-reward calculus, though, is what happens if he comes out, does that, and messes up? That is literally game over at that point. So I think that explains why there is some internal resistance to doing it. I think it probably has to be done in the end, but it is dangerous, particularly when the eyes of the world will be scrutinizing any such performance for any mistakes or flubs.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.